Facts first, that's the mandate here on Cuomo Prime Time. Let me show you the Mendocino Complex fire, okay? This is the biggest series of fires they've ever had in California. It's already burned an area nearly the size of Los Angeles. I mean, look at this. If you were to draw circles around what the fire sizes actually are, they almost wind up being exactly the same. Think about that. Now, we often get caught up in the numbers. I don't want to do that tonight because it's not about the numbers. It's about the numbing reality on so many families. You see what I'm showing you in the wall over here? The lives lost, homes, schools, businesses, parks, entire communities incinerated. We're going to leave these pictures up here during the Magic Wall because you need to keep in mind this is the reality for the people in the path of these fires. It's a disaster. It warrants nothing but sympathy and support. And yet, the president has tried to make it about something else. How so? Here's how. He tweets this first. Governor Jerry Brown must allow the free flow of the vast amounts of water coming from the north and foolishly being diverted into the Pacific Ocean. Boy, he seems to know a lot about this. I wonder why. Can be used for fires, farming, and everything else. Think of California with plenty of water. Nice, fast federal government approvals. Then he doubles down. California wildfires, magnified and made so much worse, means the same thing, by the bad environmental laws, which are allowing massive amounts of readily available water to be properly utilized. It's being diverted into the Pacific Ocean, must also tree clear to stop fire from spreading. Such newfound scientific analysis from our president, embracing these environmental issues so subtly. I wonder why. And then Trump's attempt to clarify didn't really help. Take a listen.
It's been a very tough situation taking place in California for a number of years, and we're going to have some meetings about it because there are reasons and there are things you can do to mitigate what's happening.
Didn't seem to know as much there, right? Meetings, like that's the fix? If he wants to mitigate what's happened, why would he exacerbate the situation by putting out false blame? Proof of it being false? Here. California fire guys. They know what's going on, right? The firefighters, they shot it down. We have plenty of water to fight these fires, they say. How about the co-founder of the Pacific Institute, all right? That's what they study. He called Trump's idea gobbledygook and then a bad word. And there's no shortage of water to fight fires. That's what they're saying. So let's show you this, why he's so strong about it. Here are the fires. Here are the reservoirs, several major ones in the heart of the worst zone of the fires. They are not empty. Therefore, the problem is not water, to the extent they even use water in fighting these. There are other tools that they use, which they say they have been employing. So then why is it so bad? The weather. July was the hottest month in California history, and the wildfires are getting worse. But if you want to address that, if you want to be ambitious, you don't do what Trump did. You take on real issues. Climate change and our role in it, emission standards like the ones that the president wants to reduce and the state of California wants to fight him on. Instead, he comes stumbling in and spreading specious smoke. Why? The answer? Politics. Water is political in California, especially for some of, these are the facts, but I told you them, some of his biggest allies in Congress, McCarthy and Nunes. They are leading conservative voices on water policies in California, and they have an agenda that affects the balance of how much water is used for agriculture versus conservation efforts. Now Trump's tweets start to make a little bit different sense and context, right? They've clashed with the state government and the environmentalists. So Trump picks now to help out his boys by spreading smoke as people's lives are burning? Come on. And if he really wants to meet about mitigating a natural disaster, how's this for an idea? Start with the after effects in Puerto Rico. We didn't forget. FEMA said 64 died. A Harvard study with thousands of interviews says 4,600 died. Why isn't our president curious about that? Politics. That's why, and we will call it out on this show. We will also debate it. Ana Navarro, Steve Cortez are going to debate this and the impact of other major news next. California is on fire. Nobody's going to dispute that fact if they know what they're talking about. But our president is blaming environmentalists and California's Democratic governor, the same folks who are sideways with some of his big supporters in Congress. Coincidence? I say the facts say no. But let's debate in great fashion. Ana Navarro and Steve Cortez. Well, You heard my argument in favor of seeing this for what it is. Steve Cortez, dare you to rebut it?
Chris, not really. I have to say first, enormous empathy for the victims of this awful tragedy and great admiration for the people who are fighting it. But I'm a city boy. I know very little about forests, even less about forest fires. You'd have to ask the White House, quite frankly. I also don't just take
they wouldn't back them
California
up on
officials'
this.
word for it.
They were asked, Steve.
I just don't.
They wouldn't back up the tweets.
They
say the tweets speak for themselves.
Chris, I think you might think, and certainly a lot of your viewers think, that I always just instinctively back the president on everything. I don't back him in this, nor am I criticizing. I'm just saying I frankly don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm certainly not a forest management person, so I don't know the answer.
Yeah, but you do know the answer because, Anna, I'll bounce it to you.
I don't.
I'll tell you why you know. The firefighters came out and said, we got enough water. The environmentalists and the experts, the scientists who study it say, we got enough water. And his tweets suggest, and the difference between Trump's tweets and what he said at the podium when somebody wasn't telling him what to say, shows that somebody was pumping ideas into his head that he put in those tweets at the worst possible time when people's lives are being compromised. He was playing politics. Fair point.
I thought you were asking Anna. You're asking me?
No, I'm definitely not asking you. Anna, go ahead. What do you got?
Look, of course it's a political play. You've got a disaster going on. You don't have a word expressing empathy or expressing sorrow for the grief that the people of California are going through. Instead, he takes political shots at Jerry Brown, who happens to be an opponent, a strong opponent of the president. He is a Democrat in California, and he wades into what is a long, ongoing battle between salmon fishermen and agriculture in California, having nothing to do with the fires. Frankly, if the people risking their lives on the ground to fight this fire, the firemen, are saying this is not a water issue. How do you fight fires? You take down other trees so that you make fire lines so that the fire can't cross over. You dip huge buckets and helicopters into reservoirs that you then stick on the fire. The firemen know what they're doing. They know what they're saying. You know what I found really interesting, though? You brought up Puerto Rico. I'm in Florida. We have a toxic algae bloom here that is killing so many fish. Well, we've got both. We've got red tide and toxic algae bloom. And I can tell you that there's a lot of people in Florida who think that the government here, the state government, has a lot to do with it. Now, Trump won't say a word out of it. Why not? Because it's Republicans. It's his friends that are in power in Florida. Maybe if the stench reaches Mar-a-Lago, he'll begin to notice.
Maybe, Steve, he should take your advice and start out by showing the empathy for the people who are involved instead of taking care of his buddies.